Hello guys, before I get into the top 10 decks under the radar, I just want to go a very quick ban list discussion video because I didn't want to make it a whole video, especially since it would be, backed up way too long. So for the bans, there is number 95. I think this is a very nice one. I really liked the card's art, but it was oppressive. It's just dump Archbrave, dump Goliath, and then you'll have a Scythe forever in the Thunder Dragon matchup just by like Arcapane. So that's a good hit. I do like that. Summon Sorceress, it was going to have to go at some point. Right now, it wasn't too oppressive in the format as much people said. It's only really, especially when it's just so much of a Ghost Ogre target currently. We just always have the hand trap for some reason when Summon Sorceress gets dropped. And the only thing I was using it is the Thunder Dragon combos and Orcus. Otherwise, nothing else was really using it. But it still would have been a problem when doing more link spammy format. And the last hit was Rank-Up Phantom Quick Launch. I did predict this one. Thank you for doing this one instead of Azathoth, because of course there's way more targets you could go to. Ultimate Falcon, Calamities, DD, Duo King. There's a lot of targets, so thankfully they hit the card that did do it. People also said the Link Monster, I did discuss in the video, but you can still do, get the 2 quick plays within Dangers, which would just make more of a hate for Dangers, even though I don't feel they deserve the hate that they do to get. That's a whole discussion on its own. You can probably bring that up in the comments if you want. I'll talk about it all day. That's it for the bans. Limits, we have Ladybug to 1. I'm surprised that actually happened. I did say, hey, this could possibly happen. Of course, this kid promotes the search card within Dark Neostorm. That will be out at the point of me releasing this video. So Ladybug to 1. It's just, they just wanted to do something to sound great, so some people can't really complain that much. Sky Striker Kagari to 1. I'm amazed they actually did do it. I feel it was actually going to completely go unscathed again. I did predict, though, it was going to 1 over any other card. They did do it. I'm still kind of surprised that they did do it. But now it's going to be a hit. People are really just thinking of, okay, how are we going to do this? Are we going to play Hercules base, which I think is probably the move they're going to do. People said Magna Reverse, but I think that's ridiculous. It's like a 3 of Monster Reborn, and that's it. Puts it in main monster zone too, so it's yeah, I'll just Hercules base, shuffle it back. Thank you very much. Especially when there's high oddity to attack directly, and I'm pretty sure proc the effect to shuffle 3 back. Don't know exactly what Hercules Beast does, but I know it can shuffle 3 back. I saw a little bit of play of it immediately when Sky Strikers came out back at YCS New Jersey. So they still have, things around it. It is dead, but it's a nice hit nonetheless. And there's Phantom Sky Blaster. I am quite surprised by this one, actually. I did not see it coming. I thought it would just be perfectly fine because to me it didn't seem like a big problem. But I could definitely see it being a problem later, if there's something that only special summons, aka Danger. It would really help you get into those links for no cost at all. It isn't as strong as I'd say the other token generators in the past have been, but it's still a powerful one nonetheless. So seeing it 1, I dig it. I dig it. I never really saw it coming, but I can approve. Going to 2, Super Poly. This is a very controversial one. I guess some people just wanted it to be banned. Some people are like, yeah, let's have it at free. Screw it, man. It could become very oppressive in certain formats. Certain formats it may be super scary, but the formats that are not, I'm perfectly fine with it at 3. But maybe other formats, yeah, I don't want it. If it's stopping degenerate decks that just set up all the negates, I'm happy about it. But if it ruins a lot of decks in the format, generally the card isn't fun at that point. So it's a double-edged knife. It's good and bad, in my opinion at least. I can see the pros and cons. Of quite equally. And the last card, 2/3, is Miscellaneousaurus, just to have the negation protection for dinosaurs. Will it make dinosaurs good? In my opinion, I don't think they will. But they'll show up kind of like the, ABC deck in the regional. Because you'd always see like one ABC player if you're kind of like skimming on making it to top cut. You'd always see those players like trying to win with ABC. Trying to be the Calvaton that they're not, And I think dinosaurs will take that place because I think for 3 months now, I haven't seen dinosaurs at all. Again, I haven't been to too much regionals because there wasn't too many for me to go to. Nonetheless, though, I wasn't even seeing at locals, and we did have a lot of Dino players at locals before. So seeing none for the last 3 months is so surprising. It'll probably step back up, kind of like ABC, as one of those decks you just see trying to win and, make it to that 32 spot. You usually just make it to that spot. I feel it has that power now, but will it be excelling in big tournaments? I don't feel so. Not in the slightest. But that's my ban list thoughts into the top 10. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. This time we are going to be doing a top 10 first on this channel. It's going to be top 10 under the radar decks you can play this format. Pretty much decks that people are not seeing at all. They don't know what to expect from it. You don't really see it as much. You may only see it once if you're in like a 10-round regional and you're seeing all the weird matchups. You may only see them once and you won't even know what the hell they're doing with their like weird wank combos. But I'll be talking about those decks and a few that are going to be quite interesting in the format that you may want to play, test, go online, just see how they play, learn them a bit. Nonetheless, let's get right into the video. So for number 10, I'm going to pick Infernoid Lair. It had shown up more in the Pendulum format back when there was like a whole 13 decks. Like, all the regionals were ridiculous because like every single deck, it would be like one deck and maybe 3 Pendulum Magician players, but everything else is a whole other deck. Infernoid was one of those decks, and it has recently gone away. Generally because it never got a power boost. People knew what to do, and currently right now, people really don't know what Infernoid Lair is. Even though it may have been only a year ago since that deck has been relevant, it is still quite powerful. Even though grass is greener is gone, there's still to be able to tribute your opponent's monsters as a cost, which can be quite amazing against Slender Dragons, because think, Colossus is such a hard card to remove for so many decks, and you're just like, no, gone. Immediately, your opponent can't even respond to it. That, is ridiculous. Sure, like the Banish effect, it still has so many, useful things, even though you only really get that, tribute of your opponent's monster once in that turn, still has quite a lot of power because usually if you activate the feast, you'll dump something, which you'll be able to summon on the next turn if they do wipe through all those Inferno monsters, and then wipe their board clean. Heavy Storm, wipe all the back row. It can be so good against control decks. It just hasn't seen play at all recently. There is the weakness of you can get ashed quite easily now that everyone has access to it, since the common, print so many ultra prints at this point. Still, the deck is quite powerful, quite mean, and when it works quite well. Again, it struggles against a bunch of floody decks. Nonetheless, anything that, more just one monster, you'll definitely be able to beat those strategies. For example, Subterror. But on to number 9. So for number 9, the deck that I have been playing this format is Second Burning Abyss. By now, as of me releasing the video, we will have Trubni out. That is so helpful for a strategy. Definitely means you should incorporate Sabers, Malicious. You can even put in Speedroid Terratop because just Sabers is a card, putting something back on top. Just say, yeah, but just put it back if it's a brick is a quite powerful thing for the deck that I really love. It's very technical. It does take a bit of a learning curve to actually play it. Not crazy insane like Mermails or something where you need to know a lot of stuff. You can learn it just on your own. You don't really need to be taught like online a lot of this stuff, but it's still pretty complicated when going into, you know, just knowing exactly what to do and what plays to do. You will be able to learn it on your own, which some decks you won't be able. You have to go online to research combos, but it's also kind of combo centric. Kind of what I like something you don't have to research combos. You just know you'll have to learn how to make combos on your own on the fly. The decks I really like. Still has a lot of power. I play a build with a lot of extenders, so I just throw out so many monsters. It's easy to make Burl Sword for OTKs, and it just has so much recurability. And like, a lot of cards can be problems for certain decks. Then again, sometimes Burning Abyss can be a pushover to certain strategies. Pendulum Magician is one of them. Dropping Goliath, dropping a new spellcaster monster. Burning Abyss is a pushover, so that's one weakness of it. But in other scenarios, decks like Guru, as long as you don't get hit with a Mastrix, you are doing so fine. Sky Strikers, if you draw Pilgrim, it's like, okay, you have to dig for your jamming waves now. And certain things, like, it's way easier than others. It's a very fun deck to play. And people don't even know what to call by a grave, which is a very nice thing. It seems pretty simple, but they never get the right hit. But on to number 8. So for my number 8 pick, I'm choosing Spiral anything. Just don't pick something stupid to combine it with, and you should be good. Spirals, they were tier 0 about a year and a half ago, I would say. And even though they've had a lot of hits to the deck, it's still been fighting along. Even though like cards like Goblin, I don't know exactly what combos they have currently. They can be combined with Dangers, so that's something. But it still has a lot of link power that a lot of decks have been lacking recently. It's one of the still link spam decks that's actually going around, because when you think about it, a lot of things aren't going into big links. Like, there's only the, you know, double Saryuja and like going in Orchist combos. That's small about Link Arrows. Spirals is like one of the only decks that still links a lot within the format, because there isn't too much in linking anymore, but that's the one deck that does do it. So if you like links a lot, that's the one deck you could play it with. And it still has a lot of pops. Super Agent can pop Spell and Trap, which can be quite useful in a more stunny format. It just has a lot of, you know, pop power, which other decks don't really have right now. And it's quite versatile. If you know how like the strategy works, it does take a bit of learning element. But if you know strategies, it is quite oppressive still in this format. Sleeper is still a card. But yeah, on to number 7. So for number 7, I'll be picking Altergeist. It's kind of out of the format now. We just haven't seen it topped at all. It just gone away by surprise, and I've not seen it at all. Like, none of it. Of course, there's like a bunch of other control decks in this format. Sky Strikers has always been better than it. There's Guru Control. there's just so many other things, and Altergeist generally got pushed away, especially since side deck cards for those decks can work against Altergeist, but it is still a quite useful strategy. Being able to bounce cards is quite nice. Big boss monsters, just bounce. Summon Colossus, okay, bounce it. We don't need to destroy that thing. We can send it with Metalseek too, if we really have to. Sure, it doesn't do so well against big, a lot of spammy strategies, but if you're playing the right traps and you don't get, wrecked by side decks in games 2 and 3, which is probably the biggest weakness for this deck currently, the deck can still do quite well against most of the meta. Still, it has a lot of weaknesses going for it, since it's just more stronger decks that are getting side decked, for which those side deck cards work against that deck just as well as those decks. So it's a little bit of the weaker choice, I feel, out of most of my picks, especially since people, it's fresh in their mind how the deck works. They know what to do against it still. Otherwise, that's my choice for number 7. On to number 6. So my number 6 choice is Prank Kids. I'll admit I don't know how this deck works. It's one of the decks on the list. I don't really know how the strategy works, but it is combo-ish. It does take a big learning curve though, but I know it can make stuff totally awesome. They have stuff that tribute for cost to do blow up to field. It's quite easy to bait with the deck from what I know. People will not know what to hit, so you can easily just activate stuff as oh yeah, that's a power card, hit it, and then they just drop something even more powerful on you, and you're just well, shit. So Prank Kids is interesting in that, right? It just keeps on going once you get the ball rolling. One weakness is, if you don't get the ball rolling, you don't have a ball to work with. If you get stopped before you get any bit going, you're probably not going. It is a weakness with kind of a lot of decks, but Prank Kids, it does have, I feel, more choke points, I would say, right at the start that can kind of be pointed out even if you don't know the strategy. That may only be me talking. Maybe it's a little bit harder to know exactly what the choke out point is, where to Ash or something, where to Ghost Ogre. But it's still, no one knows what that deck does. Unless you play the deck, you don't know what it does. I don't even know what it does, and I like to, know about all these rogue strategies. But that's my choice for number 6. On to number 5. So my number 5 pick, which I don't think is too under the radar, is Pendulums. They just got that level 7 Spellcaster, which is broken as hell. That deck is so ridiculous. It's so powerful, this format. I feel it has the power to actually... I'm pretty sure all the cards are legal in OCG too, from what I know. They may have worse hits than we do over here. I'm not exactly sure on that, but I feel that deck can actually win Worlds. Sure, there's still side deck cards. Anti-Spell Fragrance, you can play Unending Nightmare. It actually would work quite well. Probably what I'm going to do, because that deck is ridiculous if you let it go off. Because once they drop that monster, if you're not a big monster combo deck, you're not doing anything to that strategy. If you're Sky Strikers and they set up that monster with a spell counter, you should just scoop it. There's no reason to play. You're not getting over that thing unless you're playing limiter removal. Then again, at that point you're wasting your one Kagari now. So, the card is so good as it towers. You wouldn't think it would be super impressive. We had Masterpiece, and that wasn't even the most dominant deck when that was around. But surprisingly, this format, just that card can be super impressive. But that's why it's my number 5. Weaknesses, there's still the side deck cards, but I feel this is one of the strongest decks you can actually pick out of this list. Sure, it's going to be kind of known better, out of any of the rest of these decks, still is such a powerful strategy. So on to number 4. Number 4 will be Cosmos. So it is, I feel, probably one of the weaker decks I can put on this list, but it still has a lot of power if you do get the right hand. Of course, it has Dark Destroyer to 3 now, and it has a good amount of consistency stuff so that you do get to it. Of course, you play traps. You don't really get blown out too badly by back row. Again, getting ashed in, like, if you're playing a combo where you destroy Dark Destroyer using, like, I don't know, the Dragonic Diagram, it may be a bit worse for you if you get ashed. It's accessible to everyone at this point, so it is a weakness. But Dark Destroyer is actually quite powerful. Target blow up, nice effect to still have this format. On normal or special, even if you, like, I don't know, back to the front, summon it, or, you know, anything. If you get it out by any means, blow up a card. Good effect. And the ability to not be targeted can be quite powerful. Again, it's a bit more attack, so it's harder to get over than the Spellcaster level 7, than Dimion, which is broken. Even though it can be destroyed by card effects, which does give Sky Strikers the ability to, let's say, jamming waves a card, it can still be kind of hard to get to those cards within certain strategies. And if most of your ways of popping stuff is with targeting removal, you will definitely have a problem, especially when this card floats out after, because, again, Sky Strikers, you activate jamming waves, you pop it, and then you summon something that's just 28 that has the same targeting clause. And it's like, okay, if you haven't used a Kagari yet, you can add the jamming waves back, but you've just wasted your Kagari, especially for something that is going to float again into probably a negate, the monster negate. And if you don't have multi-roll, it's like you have to waste that Kagari to destroy the monster. Otherwise, you'd have to wait a whole turn, set it back. Your opponent would gain the 1,000 life points. Like, Cosmos can be ridiculous against certain matchups, or can be a absolute pushover against others. Otherwise, it's still a under the radar deck. On to number 3. So my number 3 choice is going to be zombies. It doesn't really matter what type of zombie. Most zombie decks will work. You can play the negates with the zombie world and Balrog. It can be quite annoying for certain strategies to deal with. Especially a nice inherent out the YGO as a field spell is so good against that matchup, which can be annoying for everyone else in the format. So that's a nice thing to have. Again, there's, you know, matchups the easier, matchups that are harder. You can play Mayakashi FTK still, even though I think Ghost Ogre is a bit more used in the format. You cannot actually Ghost Ogre Soul Absorbing Bone Tower, so you're protecting that right. And no one's going to be siding Farfa. Again, under a radar deck, Birding Biss. There isn't going to be too many players playing that on the field. You won't have to worry about Farfa just getting rid of the monster when you mill. So there's, like, I don't know, when you're going double star, you're going through so many cards that you're really helping the strategy. I even saw locals by Akashi FTK, like, not even a perfect build beat like the Thunderjacking deck, just because it, like, goes through cards so easily, especially since there's no 60 card decks. You know, Grass is Greener is completely, you know, banned. There's no reason to play 60 cards within the format. So my Akashi FTK can still go around, still have a bunch of negates. You can play Shiranui. I don't know what it does. That's going to be a complete surprise factor, but I'm pretty sure it has a few powerful cards, and it has definitely enough, extenders and stuff that it can go off once you get the ball rolling. So there's a lot of different variants you can play. You can bash them all together. You can do a bunch of craziness with the deck. And it can sometimes be hard for certain decks to out. So that's going to be my number 3 choice. On to number 2. So my number 2 is going to be Necroz. It has recently got all the reprints within dual power. So all the cards are super cheap generally. Brionic 7, I was able to pick them out pretty easily. Valks are like 4s. And the rest of the cards are like 2 or under. And even though there's certain cards that are expensive, I guess the Synchro, it's like $20 a piece, I think, right now. Quite bad. If you already had this stuff, if you've already been a Necroz fan before, but you just haven't picked up the ritual monsters, but you just knew the stuff was coming out within dual power, so you picked it up early, definitely play it this deck, because it has a lot of powerful things to do. Unicorn locking out all the extra deck effects is quite nice. Again, it can get shut down by Thunder Dragons pretty easily if you have it set up a nice board or you don't have the broke hand. Can be quite annoying. It does have good removal still within the format. And it does have some powerful side deck cards. You can play, I'm pretty sure, Christia. You can also cheeky combo if you do play Necroz. Play Garden Rose Maiden and Crystal Wing, because Garden Rose Maiden can special summon a Synchro Dragon from the grave. So when you're milling with Zaborg, because you don't need to mill you don't need to mill like Natis if you're going first. You can just mill that, some Toads, and then the Heralds, and pretty much you search 3, you add back rituals or just the Toads back to extra deck to send again, and that you can just banish and then summon Crystal Wing from the graveyard, which will provide a negate. That's my cheeky tech for that deck. Go and use it if you want. But it does have a lot of power. Side deck, it can be nice. Christia, the no special summons. It does have a lot of power cards it can use that are in its arsenal. It can get shut down other ways. Still though, Necroz is very good, and that's my number 2 pick. On to the last pick. And my last pick is going to be Mermail. I don't know exactly what combos it has, but most of the cards are generally pretty cheap currently. The extra deck shouldn't cost too much. I guess Toads are a little bit expensive. You're going to have to go out and research combos one decks that you will, but no one else is going to be knowing those combos at all. So this deck it's very hard to find a choke point in its strategy, because no one really knows what the deck's doing. No one really knows the field it makes. I don't know the field it makes. I even have the deck. I still don't know what they've done after, I think the last 2 ban lists changes. The deck is quite powerful, even though it has number 42 hit. I bet it could still do a lot of powerful plays. It can just put out monsters super easily. It can probably set up, the 3, Link 3 negate, probably Toad, some other things. It's a interesting deck to play. Definitely no one knows why it's doing its combo-y, so no one really knows exactly what to hit. And if you can go off with it, if you really know exactly how the deck works, I definitely think you can go win your regionals with it, just on the fact that no one knows what to do. And if it isn't like the 5 negate kind of board they're putting up, you should be good just rolling off of Mermails. But that's my number 1 pick. But that's it for the video. thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys liked and enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.